Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today I have something really very special for you guys. As a matter of fact, the speakers I'm going to talk about today land in the top 3 of the best speakers I've ever heard in my life. I love these things and have been addicted to these things so much that I am calling them the speaker system of the gods. This is a speaker system that really surprised me and caught me off guard. And I'll back up a little bit because a few weeks ago I reviewed part of this system. I reviewed a speaker called the Auggie OGY. They're from Poland and Closer Acoustics. They're a tiny diminutive speaker. They have a little port in the front that looks like a smiley face. They make me smile every time I look at them. Now, these speakers only have a 4-inch driver in them. They are a source point speaker, a coaxial driver. They're full range, I should say. It handles the treble, the mids, and the bass, all from this tiny little driver. That means that the Auggie speakers are limited in the bass output. They sound beautiful, haunting, striking, with vocals, with jazz, with the old jazz standards from the 40s and the 50s. They sound great with modern jazz. They sound great with modern vocals. But if you try to play heavy metal, rock and roll, EDM, anything that requires a foundation of that foundation, it's going to be missing from the Auggies. So the Auggies are so amazing in the mid-range where the voices live. They're beautiful in the treble. It's never hard or raggedy. It's smooth but very extended and airy, right? So what these speakers need is a nice, well-blended, solid bass foundation. Now, these are fast speakers. They will kick out the details without sounding hard or harsh, but they expose everything in the recording. But hold with me. With these bobs in place that I'm going to tell you about, it changes the whole dynamic. So these speakers need a bass foundation. So Closer Acoustics came up with a solution in the form of stands for the Auggies. They're very interesting, very unique looking stands, and they have a 12-inch bass driver made by EMS, the same company that makes the 4-inch driver for the Auggie speakers. Very high quality, well-known drivers. And these stands had one each, and I was told that that would only really bring half the picture to my room. And what Closer Acoustics in Poland has designed are open baffle bass units that they call B.O.B. So it stands for Bass Open Baffle. Now that means they're not in a sealed enclosure like a subwoofer. So when you look at a B.O.B unit, you see the big 12-inch bass driver. In the front, you have 2 side panels, and the front is piano black, and the side panels have a wood grain. It might be walnut, I believe. I'm not quite sure. But these are open on the top, open on the bottom, open on the back. So they're wide open. So this is going to bring a different kind of bass sound and performance versus something like a sealed subwoofer, like one I just reviewed recently, the Rel T9X in red that I've been enjoying. So I was told for my room, which is 13 by 18, that 4 of these B.O.B units would be ideal. And so Closer Acoustics sent me along 4 of these bass open baffle units. They even sent me a pair of the Auggies in the black stone. I think it's Korean. It's some kind of stone, acrylic stone. And this version of the Auggie is a little bit more money, but it is said to dampen any vibrations that may be occurring and offer slightly more refined sound. So this is the black Auggie with the acrylic stone covering the actual real wood enclosure. Now, Closer Acoustics says this will help dampen vibrations, and I listened to the wood, the birch plywood, and I listened to the acrylic stone. There's a little bit of a difference in the black and the white acrylic stone. They just seemed a little like it had a little more body in that mid area. It's not a huge difference, but it is something worth mentioning. So here's the back of the speaker. You can see the OGY is basically carved into the stone. You have the Closer Acoustics logo. 91 dB efficient into 8 ohms. Power handling 15 watts. You go down to the bass units here. Very, very unique looking, very artistic looking as well. But so these bobs arrive and they're packaged in a pristine way, just like the speakers. Now the little Augies come in little shopping bags that are very soft. They cradle the speakers that are wrapped in foam, and they're placed in a perfect fitting box. The B.O.B units, the bass open baffle units, are packaged the same way, one per box, but they each have their shopping bag, so you pull it out very easily, and they're not too heavy. Now let's something to keep in mind. These are not like a powered sealed subwoofer. Because they're open baffle, the bass performance is going to sound a little bit different, a little softer, way more easy to blend in with the Augies because they were designed with them. And there's just something about the bass of these that really, really impressed me. So when I received the 4 bass units, I opened them up and I set them up in a way that Closer Acoustics recommended. I tried 3 different ways, and I settled on the way that they settled on, which is 2 bass units stacked with the Auggy right on top, and on the top of the bass unit, there's a little pad that they installed so you can easily place the Auggy speaker right on top. After about an hour of setup in the room, I hooked them up to my Daniel Hertz Maria 350 integrated amp and the Hi-Fi Rose RS130 streamer. Now, hooking these up is fairly easy. It comes with, you have to buy the terminals with these. I think they're $100 and something each, and they come with the cables you need. So on one end, you plug in your speaker cables coming from your amp, or you can take those speaker cables and go to your Augies. Next, there's another connector, a speak-on connector that goes in the other side of the terminal, and there's 2 pairs of wire, 1 for each bob. And what this terminal does is it's not a crossover, but it's sending all of the bass information from 125 hertz down to the B.O.B units. They're playing everything from 125 hertz down. Now, once I have these all hooked up, I go to turn on some music that I know very well, and I started listening, and I was just, the first few minutes, I was like, wow, this sounds a little more recessed from what I was used to before. My reference speakers right now are the Daniel Hertz Ambers, and I love those speakers for their pop, their punch, their forwardness, that they bring voices out into the room, and they have power and scale. But they are very energetic as well, especially if you turn them up and depending on the music you're listening to. With the Augies and the B.O.Bs, everything was a little more recessed, but what I started noticing as I sank into my listening spot and started listening deeply into the night, actually for many hours, was it was a much more realistic soundstage, meaning I felt way more as if I was in the audience of a concert listening to a performance. I could visually envision the performers on stage in front of me, and with the vocals so realistic and that treble so airy, light, and extended. But now with the bass filling in those mids all the way down to the bottom, this was sounding like the most complete, infused, well put together speaker system I've ever heard. And that's no lie. I've heard some amazing speakers, and there's speakers that have been burned into this old noggin that I just love and adore. These bass units are something like 91, 92 dB efficient. They're 8 ohm, very easy to power. The Augies are something like 94 dB efficient and are known to do well with tube amplifiers, specifically 300B. But Closer Acoustics tested this system with a 1,000 watt per channel Class D modern day integrated amplifier. And I have to say, I'm using a 350 watt modern day Class D amplifier, and I am just bowled over by the sound. I've heard these with many different amps: Choco Sound EMEI, Passlabs X250.8, Passlab 60.8, Yamaha RN2000, the list goes on. They sound absolutely sublime with the Class D Daniel Hertz. The best I've heard them sound, but they sound really good with the other amps as well. Just that all-out refinement with the Daniel Hertz. So as I'm listening, I'm sitting here and I'm listening to albums I know back and forth, and I'm even discovering some albums that I've never heard and albums I haven't heard in years. And one thing kept popping in my mind as I would listen to the next song, the next album, the next artist, and that was, holy cow, these sound so freaking magical and amazing with almost any music I'm playing through it. Usually if you have a system that makes everything sound good, it usually means it's plumped out in the bass, you're missing those fine details, and everything sounds overly big and warm. That's not the case here at all. As a matter of fact, the bass is just so clean, so controlled, so perfectly integrated with the Augies. They sound like they are one big giant speaker. And you're getting all of those details because of the treble of the Augie itself. You're getting that ultimate reality in the mid-range and the vocals, and you're getting beautiful, big, warm, inviting, enveloping bass as low as you could ever ask for. No, it's not going to rattle my windows like a couple of big REL powered subs, but that's not really music, is it? When I heard these B.O.B units, it made me realize what perfect bass in an audio system should sound like. And I used that word we should never use, perfect, because I always say perfect doesn't exist, but it can exist for your ears or my ears. And for my ears, this is the best hands down bass I've ever heard from any speaker system. It is so well integrated. And that's why I'm calling this setup the speaker system of the gods. It's ethereal, it's warm, it's detailed, it's extended, it's airy. The sound stage is super wide, just as if you're really at a concert. The imaging is not surgical, but it's beautiful. The speakers and the bass units absolutely disappear into the room, which is a specialty of little tiny speakers. You're like, wait, if I look right at the speakers, it doesn't sound like the music and voices are coming from the speakers. It sounds like it's coming from other places. That's a sign of a really well done audio system or a speaker. Now, these speakers may not be for everyone because they are not sculpted works of art in one casing, in one cabinet. Rather, what I have here is now 6 pieces. The B.O.B units, I have 4 of them, but they stack on each other very easily, and the Auggie speaker stacks on top of the B.O.B units perfectly, but they are modular. They are pieces to it, so it might not fit everyone's decor, right? The wife acceptance factor, I don't know if these would be high or low. For me, I think they're cool as all get out because they're different, and I like unique. But one thing I can say is if you own a pair of the Closer Acoustics Auggie speakers, and they are very affordable in the realm of high end, I think $1,500 for one of the standard birch plywood pairs. The black stone pair I have here is closer to $2,000. But these are works of art. They are musical instruments. And yes, when a speaker is that good, I like to call them instruments. They are instruments of sound. And with the open baffle bass units, everything just sounds glorious. One of the best, if not the best sounds I've ever heard in life. Now, as I said, there are speakers that I've come here and said, wow, these are amazing. They speak to my heart and soul, and they did and they do. Speakers like the Fleetwood DeVilles, I still have a soft spot for. the Dyne Audio Heritage Specials. I still love those speakers, right? I still own and love the Daniel Hertz Ambers. Beautiful, amazing speakers. Sonus Faber Guarneris, many years ago. I was jumping and jiving about those. Love those speakers for many reasons. And every other speaker I've heard in life, there's some that still stick with me. The Klipsch Cornwall 4s, the La Scala AL5s. I did not get paid a penny to do this review. I've also put up a written review at my website if you want even more details and more information. I do this from the passion from my heart. Music is a universal language, meaning we all speak the language of music, meaning, again, I can listen to music from other countries in different languages, and if that beat and mood is there, I can still get into it and have it affect me and have it take me to another place. And not all speakers can do that. I can count them on one hand how many times in life a speaker took me to that place, meaning out of my head into this other dimension where I just envision these things as the music's playing. I let it soak over my entire body. If a speaker system does that for you, hold on to it because it's special. But man, the key elements of the Auggie and B.O.B, and I can highly recommend this speaker system. I think if you get 4 bass units, open baffle bass units, a pair of Auggies, the terminals and the cables, it's around $8K for everything. So over in the review at the website, I've even compared the Auggie and the B.O.Bs to speakers that cost 3 times their cost. I've done 4 or 5 comparisons over in the written review. If you want to hear what I thought about these compared to those, check out the review over at the website. There'll be a link to that in the description below. So at the end of the day here, these get my absolute highest recommendation. They're fair in price, they're beautiful in build and design, if not a bit unique and different, and the sound will take you to that place that you close your eyes, you're in your spot, you're listening, and the music just soaks over you. You can feel it, you can feel the emotion from it. It's just such a beautiful experience. It is a system that excels in low volume listening, mid volume listening, and standard loud volume listening. This is just a speaker that has absolutely zero harshness about it, but you're never missing the details. In fact, there are songs I was playing here where I heard details that I've never heard before, yet they were coming out in an airy, floaty kind of way. One other thing, a lot of speakers these days, and if you set them up right, can be 3-dimensional. You've heard me talk about a 3-dimensional sound stage. As far as 3-dimensional, where you hear instruments in space coming out and vocals, the reverb trails hanging, all that good stuff, the Auggie and B.O.B system is probably the most 3-dimensional system I've heard as well, and it sounds good with any music you want to play. I tested it with vocals, with jazz, with metal, with death metal, with EDM, with bluegrass, and a few other, even rap, and it did it all with ease and without effort. So my highest recommendations for Closer Acoustics Auggie, and especially with the bass open baffle units. Now, I think they said the first small batch of these B.O.Bs will be shipping in January. I believe you might be able to pre-order or something like that over at the Closer Acoustics website. I will put a link in the description below so you can find that easily. And that's about it. So I hope you enjoyed this review. If you want to see a sound demo of this, I posted one not so long ago here on the channel, and I'm finally going to be posting a few more to the members area here. I was going to do it last week, but I wanted to wait for the black stone Auggies to come and do some sound demos. So in the members area here, it's $5 to help support this channel. There will be sound demos for jazz, vocals, metal, and a couple other genres as well. So that way you can kind of get an idea of the tonality. You won't hear the sound stage, the 3-dimensionality, the depth, and all of that, but you will get an idea of the tonality of this system, and it's gorgeous. So if you like this video, thumbs up and subscribe, And I will see you guys in the next one.
Baby, I know I